Hello, it's Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for our August 31st lesson in A Course in Miracles workbook for students. Lesson 243, August 31st. And this is out of the original edition. Today I will judge nothing that occurs. Today I will judge nothing that occurs. Well, that'd be nice if we could do that, wouldn't it? We'd be happy. Okay, let's see. Well, let's read it. I will be honest with myself today. I will not think that I already know what must remain beyond my present grasp. I will not think I understand the whole from bits of my perception, which are all that I can see. Today I recognize that this is so, and so I am relieved of judgment which I cannot make. Thus do I free myself and what I look upon to be in peace as God created us. He didn't say me, he said us. He really wants us to see that we're all connected. Prayer is, Father, today I have creation free to be itself. Today I leave creation. I was going to say that didn't make any sense. Father, today I leave creation free to be itself. I honor all its parts in which I am included. We are one because each part contains your memory, and truth must shine in all of us as one. Really emphasizing our interconnectedness and our oneness here. Today I will judge nothing that occurs. So let's turn to our text. We're ready for the next section in chapter 4, the root of all evil. We're ready for creation and communication. Is that right? Yes. Okay. As you're turning there, if you'd like to follow along, let me tell you where I'm sitting. I'm sitting under a locust tree that I planted years ago. And I planted it out in my field and on the edge of the field, actually. And it's, as you can see, it grew up as three. And look how big these thorns are. It's huge thorns. If I'd known it was going to have such big thorns, I probably wouldn't have planted it. But now that it's growing, I'm going to probably let it grow up into 3 big logs, bigger logs, and then mill them because it's really beautiful lumber. Here is some of the branches. There's a branch. Look at those thorns on that thing. It just has such big thorns. The difference between a black locust and a honey locust is the honey locust has a lot of thorns. Your black locust, which is really good for fence posts and stuff, and we've talked about it before, it doesn't have near the thorn, very few when it gets big. Where these honey locusts just all over the place. Even the trunk. Look at these great big old thorns. I don't know if you can see all this, but anyway, let's see the honey locust. Its scientific name is Gladitsia triacanthos. On the bean pod, which this one, you know, I was kind of looking and it doesn't really have any bean pods, and I don't know if that's because it's a male or if it just didn't make them this year because of the late frost. I'm not exactly sure. But it says that the pulp on the inside of the pod is actually edible, and that it got its name as honey locust because that pulp is kind of sweet, like honey. Wildlife eat it a lot, and it's evidently something that we can eat. Of course, you need to get a year where it's producing them. And then it says that the bark and the bark and the pods have been used as antiseptic, and also have been used in indigestion, smallpox, measles, coughs, and colds. And I found that on the indianawildplants.org website. So anyway, that's honey locust. All right, let's take a look at our lesson. Creation and communication. I want to make sure that's where we're at. I unfortunately didn't mark it yesterday. It should be clear by now that while the content of any particular ego illusion does not matter, it is usually more helpful to correct it in a specific context. Ego illusions are quite specific, although they frequently change, and although the mind is naturally abstract. Let's read that one again. Ego illusions are quite specific, although they frequently change, and although the mind is naturally abstract. The mind nevertheless becomes concrete voluntarily as soon as it splits. However, only part of it splits, so only part of it is concrete. The concrete part is the same part that believes in the ego, because the ego depends on the specific. It is the part that believes your existence means you are separate. 95. Let me put my glasses on here. Everything the ego perceives is a separate whole, without the relationships that imply being. The ego is thus against communication except insofar as it is utilized to establish separateness rather than to abolish it. The communication system of the ego is based on its own thought system, as is everything else it dictates. Its communication is controlled by its need to protect itself, and it will disrupt communication when it experiences threat. It will disrupt communication when it experiences threat. While this is always so, individual egos perceive different kinds of threat which are quite specific in their own judgment. For example, although all forms of perceived demands may be classified or judged by the ego as coercive communication which must be disrupted, the response of breaking communication will nevertheless be to a specific person or persons. 96. The specificity of the ego's thinking then results in a spurious kind of generalization which is really not abstract at all. It will respond in certain specific ways to all stimuli which it perceives as related. In contrast, the soul reacts in the same way to everything it knows is true and does not respond at all to anything else. Nor does it make any attempt to establish what is true. It knows that what is true is everything that God created. It is in complete and direct communication with every aspect of creation, because it is in complete and direct communication with its Creator. 97. This communication is the will of God. Creation and communication are synonymous. Creation and communication are synonymous. God created every mind by communicating His mind to it, thus establishing it forever as a channel for the reception of His mind and will. And well, that's some pretty neat understanding there, don't you think? Since only beings of a like order can truly communicate, His creations naturally communicate with Him and like Him. This communication is perfectly abstract in that its quality is universal in application and not subject to any judgment, any exception, or any alteration. God created you by this and for this. The mind can distort its function, but it cannot endow itself with functions it was not given. That is why the mind cannot totally lose the ability to communicate, even though it may refuse to utilize it on behalf of being. 98. Existence as well as being rests on communication. Existence, however, is specific in how, what, and with whom communication is judged to be worth undertaking. Being is completely without these distinctions. It is a state, being is completely without these distinctions. It is a state in which the mind is in communication with everything that is real, including the soul. To whatever extent you permit this state to be curtailed, you are limiting your sense of your own reality, which becomes total only by your recognizing all reality in the glorious context of its real relationship to you. This is your reality. Do not desecrate it or recoil from it. It is your real home, your real temple, and your real self. Okay, let's stop there. We'll be ready for paragraph 99, and I will mark it this time so I don't have a difficulty finding the place next time. All right. Hey, and I wanted to mention, if you've got, or if you're a child, or if you have children that are listening in, here's some things that I would encourage for adults to train their children in A Course in Miracles. Number one, I would teach them the verbiage. You know, it uses a lot of words that are what's the right term? Words that maybe a lot of young children don't use, but they can certainly understand the ideas. Everything's not difficult to understand, even though to our ego minds and our adult minds, it seems quite difficult. But I don't see it as being too hard for children to understand, and I encourage you to have your kids watching along with you, or if your grandkids or your neighbors, and let them, give them kind of a sense that this is really a mystical journey, an inward journey into their own souls. And to really round it off well, since this book is based on the concepts in the Bible, be sure to read to them the stories of the New Testament. And make sure they at least understand the concepts that Jesus taught. Reading the whole New Testament to your kids would be quite beneficial, if you're wanting to eventually have them understand A Course in Miracles, or simultaneously understand the concepts of A Course in Miracles. So don't think that this is over your children's heads. I think it's really over some of our ego heads. And that's why it seems so difficult. He says it's perfectly clear. So, you know, the words that he uses occasionally might need to be explained. And what could be a lot of fun is don't even tell the kids what's going to be coming up. And you could listen with me, and you could have them follow along in your book with you. You use your finger as a pointer. But before you do it, the day before or even that morning, do a little vocabulary work and teach them some words that you think that might be new to them that are going to be in the upcoming reading. And make this a family affair. Let it be a fun thing that don't use any force or guilt or anything like that in your teaching. But you know, let them know that they're welcome, and that Will encourages the kids. And if there's any kids listening, be sure to learn to read the book and understand these ideas. You are very capable. We all are. All right, now let's go to back to our lesson. Today I will judge nothing that occurs. What is the world? The world is false perception. It is born of error and has not left its source. It will remain no longer than the thought which gave it birth is cherished. When the thought of separation has been changed to one of true forgiveness, will the world be seen in quite another light, and one which leads to truth, where all the world must disappear, and all its errors vanish. Now its source has gone, and its effects are gone as well. The world was made as an attack on God. It symbolizes fear. And what is fear except love's absence? Thus the world was meant to be a place where God could enter not, and where his Son could be apart from him. Here was perception born, for knowledge could not cause such insane thoughts. But eyes deceive, and ears hear falsely. Now mistakes become quite possible, for certainty has gone. The mechanisms of illusion have been born instead, and now they go to find what has been given them to seek. Their aim is to fulfill the purpose which the world was made to witness and make real. They see in its illusions but a solid base, where truth exists, upheld apart from lies. Yet everything that they report is but illusion, which is kept apart from truth. As sight was made to lead away from truth, it can be redirected. Sounds become the call of God, and all perception can be given a new purpose by the one whom God appointed Savior to the world. Follow his light, and see the world as he beholds it. Hear his voice alone in all that speaks to you, and let him give you peace and certainty, which you have thrown away, but heaven has preserved for you in him. Let us rest content until the world has joined our changed perception. Let us rest content until the world has joined our changed perception. Let us not be satisfied until forgiveness has been made complete. And let us not attempt to change our function. We must save the world, for we who made it must behold it through the eyes of Christ, that what was made to die be restored to everlasting life. Okay, so there's that all-inclusive work of forgiveness that's going to save the world. And it's really our own forgiving. As we forgive, the world changes. We're the maker of the world we live in. Each of us are. So let's be taking our meditations, our forgiveness into our daily meditations and into our daily hourly remembrances, or more so. And be sure to be quick to watch your feelings when you notice that you've had an unforgiveness, and you'll always notice it by the way you feel. If you're not feeling joyful, if you've lost your peace, it's time to be still and quiet and ask for help. That's where you can use your forgiveness. Okay, and the lesson again, 243. Today I will judge nothing that occurs. I will be honest with myself today. I will not think that I already know what must remain beyond my present grasp. I will not think I understand the whole from bits of my perception, which are all that I can see. Today I recognize that this is so, and so I am relieved of judgment. Oh my gosh, be relieved of judgment. It's a burden that we carry, and we don't need it any longer, because we can follow our internal guidance, follow our peace of mind, follow our joy, follow our love, our kindness. I had a bird just drop some of its waste on my leg here. And so I am relieved of judgment, which I cannot make. Thus do I free myself, and what I look upon to be in peace, as God created us. Father, today I leave creation free to be itself. I honor all its parts in which I am included. We are one because each part contains your memory, and truth must shine in all of us as one. Today I will judge nothing that occurs.